Good afternoon and welcome to my latest video. Today we're going to review 3 different things. At the current rate of time I needed a break from Babylon 5. The book I just took off the pile was the one that I haven't finished yet. I've only just started it. But we'll start with the Babylon 5, then have something in the middle, and then Babylon 5 again. So the easiest one would be this that came out about 2 months ago. I was a little bit reluctant at first, but it was nice to actually have something come out after a period of 12 years. And with luck, we'll have basically bought enough to increase products for said series, spin-offs, etc., just like the other 2 to 3 major science fiction franchises, those being Star Wars, Star Trek and Doctor Who respectively. It is an unusual medium as it was animated. My biggest criticism was it's just too short. I mean, this is only about 25 minutes to half an hour long, and that's the only bugbear I really have. The voices for some of the cast, because some of the cast have passed away, well, half the cast in fact have passed away, were not too bad. They embodied the spirit, shall we say, of those cast members that no longer are with us. Would I recommend it? If you're a Babylon 5 fan, yes, most definitely. I don't know if it's a good toe to dip in the water. It's up to your personal preference, really. If you like science fiction, possibly, because you don't need to watch the rest of it to watch this. So you could watch this as standalone. There is obviously some lore attaining to the Shadow War, which is covered in season 3 and 4 of the original series, but as a whole, not bad. Definitely give it a go. If you're curious, most certainly give it a go. Its price point is not too bad either. My biggest, as I said before, is it's just too short. They basically delve into, which unfortunately is becoming a worrying trend, into multiverse style storyline, and unfortunately I feel that there are too many series taking said route. Anyway, I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're a Babylon 5 fan. Moving on, I needed a break from the books, so I dipped a toe into some hard science fiction. This is Dan Simmons' Hyperion, written in 1989. Now, I was not aware at the time when I started this that there are 3 more books to this. So, over time I will acquire and read them. It was refreshing. It's nice to clean the palette, especially if you're reading a book series and it gets to a certain point where you've frankly just had enough of the narrative, and you just want to try something else. So there are many list channels on YouTube that talk about science fiction series that I'm mostly not aware of. Not every science fiction book I like to read, but it is not sometimes nice to read something different. The main synopsis of this is 7 characters from vastly different backgrounds going on a pilgrimage to visit this horrific creature on only one world out of 300 worlds, I believe, or out of the hegemony. Well, forgive me if I've said that wrong. And each one tells the story of why they're connected to the said pilgrimage. The only sad thing about this, obviously, is it ends reasonably okay, but there's no finish as such. So I'm guessing that the second book will maybe touch upon this a bit better. Its pacing's relatively good. Each chapter is a story of one of the characters. One character is a Catholic priest who no longer... Well, the Catholic Church's power has dwindled, and the religion as a whole is in dire trouble. It probably will not be around for another 1,000 years. It's on its last legs. Unfortunately, whilst he goes on, I may sort of contain some spoilers, but just a basic synopsis. He encounters some people that weren't indigenous but have been out of contact with civilization for 200 to 300 years, and he gets a parasite, and it is a horrific parasite, because this particular thing, basically you die and it brings you back to life, but each time it brings you back to life your intelligence sufficiently diminishes, and obviously the further away from said place you go, the more you have to take drugs, painkillers, etc. to combat the effects of the extreme pain that you get from this said parasite. The other characters, as one's what used to be in the armed forces, and it talks about his experience of how he came to be on Hyperion. They're definitely well constructed, and they're all slightly different. I think the most annoying character is probably the poet, but I'll leave that for you. The most interesting one is the girl that has what they call Merlin syndrome, who, when she contracted it, she was 32, and by the time of this book she is several weeks old, so or at least a few months old, I think, and they do not know exactly what will happen to her when she regresses so far, but it was quite harrowing reading about her going back in age, and as a side effect as well, she wakes up every morning with no memory of the day before. So it's pretty horrendous, really. I think it's a good statement for those poor people that suffer with certain mental conditions where that happens. As a whole, did enjoy it. It was definitely a page turner. I would certainly recommend getting this if you like some good hard science fiction, which almost sounds dodgy, but I can assure you it's not. Then I would definitely consider this. Just be aware that there are 3 more after this, and I will review them as and when I obtain them. But that was a nice palate cleanser. The next book, which I finished literally yesterday, is the 5th book in the series of 9 books. The trilogies will come later on. I've almost got them all now. There's only one I'm awaiting for from the States, and that's going to take many weeks to arrive, and it's the most expensive one I've paid for so far. It cost me about £30, but there were places that were selling it for in the excess of 80, which is a lot of money for a book that was originally £5, and it's a shame. I'd love to do a if any of you know anyone that is in the recording industry, I would very much like to explore the possibility of getting some of this stuff onto Audible. The first best thing to get onto Audible would be the Cycle trilogy, as they're a very good trilogy, and that would be a nice way to dip a toe, because also the character was played by Walter Kang, so that will be the best one to launch into, and then maybe the 9 books and then the other 2 trilogies. It is a shame that there's no science fiction being read. This one, the story's okay. Problem with the writer. The writer has never even watched the show, so the characters feel wooden. He even explains the station, and it's as if he just got an outline and just called them things like, instead of on that station everything's called a sector, he just called it a deck, which just isn't the same. He was talking about the Zocalo, but being the main hall. He does mention the Zocalo, so he doesn't do a very good job. I'm not saying he's a bad writer, because he isn't, but there's several little things which he doesn't get right. I don't think he gets Delenn particularly well. I think Delenn, he does a disservice to Delenn, because Delenn's a strong character, but Delenn doesn't really do that much in this. It does resolve itself. It's not a bad one. If you complete it, definitely read it, but you'll soon see this is probably, it's good and bad. It's good because it's another instalment of the series, but this writer didn't seem to follow it very closely, so it kind of meanders a little bit, and just some very unnecessary sequences, I suppose. Also, just the main protagonist just goes away and just left as a mystery, which is good, but it's so unsatisfying because it happens and then it's gone, and you just think, how would if I was writing it, I would have done it very differently to that. I would have left some form of legacy, but it's just, that's not the case at all. So, but if you read Babylon 5 books, I definitely do so. This one's quite readily available. This is not that difficult to obtain. The same as the one I'm currently reading. Unfortunately, I ordered 2 by mistake, and one of those I may actually give away once I've read it. So if any of you are interested, more particularly in the UK, due to postage costs, but I would very much like to give away one of those copies, because it's taking space and it'd be nice for somebody else to enjoy said piece. As I said before, I'm trying to find days where I can actually start messing about with my new laptop, as I finally do have a new laptop, and to make some more content. I do once again apologise, as I believe I need several days, so my next day off is on this Saturday coming, and I will try to endeavour not only to make a video, which is easy, but to actually start introducing effects. Alternatively, start putting thumbnails on my videos, because some of my videos look exceptionally goofy, and I do apologise. It's also been brought to my attention that if you watch this with subtitles, the subtitles do not understand my accent sometimes, so it will put certain words that I have not said and say some of my context wrongly. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and wherever you are, whenever you are, have a great day. This is 4046 signing off, and thank you for watching.